You are listening to The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to The Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour. Let us help you experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. Welcome to the show. Let me tell you what today's show is about. We're talking with Pamala Oslie about auras, parallel universes, quantum change, and Pam will also share her vision of the world that we can create in this time of change when we need a new vision. It should be very exciting, so let me tell you about my special guest, Pam. Pamala Oslie is an author, radio host, professional psychic intuitive, and aura expert. She has appeared on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox, The Dr. Oz Show, The View, The Ricky Lake Show, and Coast to Coast with George Nerney, as well as Hallmark's Home and Family, Gaiam TV with Lisa Garr, and many other television shows in many national magazines. And she has a very extensive clientele, including many celebrities. Pam has spoken at TEDx Talks, the International Forum on New Science, Fortune 500 companies, and many seminars for professionals in the psychology, education, health fields, and more. She was awarded the Holistic Transformational Leader of the Holistic Psychotherapy and Coaching. Pam is the founder of www.auracolors.com, a site designed to help you create success, joy, and fulfillment in every area of your life. She also developed www.lovecolors.com, matching you with people who have compatible aura colors. So, Pam, you're an expert with auras. Could you share some basic information about auras as well as telling us what you see?
So the way I see auras is I see different layers of bands out from the body. They kind of like in layers, like, I have the skin of an onion, yeah, right, orange. It layers out. And the way I experience auras, and other people experience it differently. Some people have seen the same colors as I do. Other people see it differently. So if you get different people telling you different stories, it doesn't mean someone's wrong and someone else is right. It just means we're having different experiences. So the way I see it is there's lots of different colored bands, and the one or two bands of color, of light, because that's what it is, it's radiating light and energy off of you. The 1 to 2 bands closest to your body are what I call your life colors. Those are the 2 colors that reveal basically what you've chosen to do and be in this lifetime. So it shows your life purpose, careers that are going to be fulfilling for you, what you wanted to accomplish here. It shows how you are in relationship, how your relationship with money, potential health issues, relationship stuff with other people, even, believe it or not, where you'd be happiest living. It's so funny. The different aura colors are drawn to different locations on the planet. Anyway, the outer bands in the aura, those layers of different colors change all the time according to what's going on with you at the time. So, for example, if I see somebody in the outer bands, there's red raging up in the outer bands, I know that they're angry right now. But that usually goes away once they stop being angry. That's different than someone who actually has a red life color. So each one of the colors has a different personality type to it, and people ask me, don't they change? And I go, well, in my experience of doing this for almost 36 years now, I rarely see anyone changing their life colors. That's the equivalent of like astrology, numerology, iridology, palmistry. It basically reveals what you've chosen to do and be in this lifetime. It doesn't run you. I really believe in free will, Julia. I believe we have free will. We get to choose what we want. This is just reflecting back what you've chosen to be, the personality type and everything in this lifetime. So can you change your life colors? Absolutely. I've got yellow in my aura, so you don't want to tell a yellow what to do. We want choice and free will, and don't tell a yellow what to do. We're pleasers. We're nice people, but, man, we don't want being told what to do. So I would never tell someone they couldn't change their aura colors. But in the decades I've been doing this, I've probably only seen 4 or 5 people that have changed their life colors, and that's usually because they've completed what they came here to do, and now they're on to a different path, a different layer, a different thing that they want to do and experience in this lifetime. So that was a long answer to your question, right?
It's a wonderful answer to my question. I was thinking when you were talking about that, it's sort of like with your palm, with your astrological chart, with your aura, these are all wonderful indications of the meshing between our inner self and our personality for this lifetime. And understanding that gives us hints to our life path. Is that correct?
Yeah, see, what I think, I use the analogy, I think we left breadcrumbs behind. So if we got here under the physical plane and we forgot why we came, we've left lots of clues behind to help us remember. And usually when somebody hears about it, they go, oh, yeah, I feel that deep inside. Oh, yeah, I've always felt that way, but I thought maybe it was wrong, or it wasn't like my family or my parents, and so maybe I thought it wasn't supposed to be like that. So it should confirm for most people what they feel deep inside about the truth of who they are. It shouldn't really be a surprise unless somebody really has gotten off track. And you'll know that by, if you're unhappy, you are not aligning with what you came here to do.
That's so interesting. So when we talk about the outer bands of the aura, I'm curious about this. What happens when we focus on universal unconditional love? Is there a change there that you see?
Well, typically what I see, great question, by the way, Julie, I've never had anyone ask me that. Typically what I see is somebody is really focused on love or light or harmony, whatever, their aura gets bigger and it gets brighter. It doesn't usually change their life colors, but their life colors get bigger, it expands, they get brighter, they get healthier. So that's a positive thing to do. Now, one of the things that I have done, that I have seen, that I don't usually discuss when people are asking about auras on the radio because it's usually basic stuff, but what I have seen is white in someone's aura. That's not typically a life color. What I've noticed is if people have a major life question, then it usually shows up as a layer of white right outside their main life colors. And as they get that question answered, that white starts moving in to land next to their body. And typically the 3 questions that I've seen people ask that creates white is, number 1, is there God or higher source or, something greater than me? If they're asking that question, white starts showing up. As they start getting that answered, it moves in closer to their body. The second question I've usually seen people asking is, does that God or source or higher beingness know who I am? In other words, do I matter? Am I recognized? Am I connected with that? That answer, then that layer of white, that inch of white, is in the outer bands, and it starts moving in. And the third question that brings up white is, now what do I do with that information? And as that gets answered, that layer of white moves in closer to the body.
That's fascinating. When we were talking about what does love and light do for the aura, I thought it's almost like a filling station, a gas station. You're filling up everything that you have when you move into that universal light and love. Because I've often noticed that when people focus on that, more of their dreams come true and they move into a more harmonious state. So maybe that's like, what operates our vehicles on a higher level on this planet.
Yeah, I believe you're right, Julie. It's like it opens you up to an expansive level where the light that's coming from you and radiating out from you, you've become more receptive, you've become more connected with that energy, that source, that God, that universal energy, whatever you want to call it. So you become more receptive and actually more in your power. I've noticed that when people go into fear, they contract their aura. It gets tighter and tighter and more dense, like around their body. It's a protective layer. So it makes sense that if somebody is focused on love and light and connecting with Source, that their aura would also expand and be more receptive and open and connected with that life force.
Right. And so for people who are listening and you've wondered what will happen if you open up to all the goodness out there and you open up to opportunity, that's a very good answer for that. I want to ask you about the contracted aura, because I often see that when people are angry and afraid, and even right now, if you have to go out in public, which I do sometimes, I've noticed that people have those very tight auras. So that's like a protective shell?
Mm-hmm. It's like they contract, almost fear, cold. They contract it closer. It's a protective thing. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, because maybe you don't see auras at this point, but I've also seen as people get afraid, a lot of people, fear can promote anger and resistance. So sometimes I see more red, and that's not the same as a red life color. Red life colors are people like Madonna and Lady Gaga and Russell Crowe and Sean Penn. They're very physical. They're very powerful beings, but it's very much about physicalness. Red in the outer bands shows me anger. So I have noticed people out in the world, as they get more frightened, they also get more, a lot of them, not everyone, they either get afraid and they contract their energy field, or they get afraid and they get angry, and it comes out as a huge shield of red that shows up in their outer bands, because red is a much denser vibration. It's stronger, it's more earth, so it's like a shield. So that red can get bigger, but it still comes from
I
fear.
definitely see it. I also see it back when we were having blocks in traffic, and there would be lines and lines of traffic. I was like, wow, look at that. There's a red cloud in front of me.
Yeah, that's what happens. It still comes from fear.
That's interesting. But if we move into the light and love, we can expand what we have and create more of it. And so we're about to go to break, but I want to stop on that point of that's your choice always to contract or expand. And when we come back, Pamala Oslie will tell us more about this and also how we can change our feelings and thoughts to create a more powerful and positive future. So let's go to break now.
Sometimes being human has its challenges. Our physical health falters, our spirits sag, our dreams don't immediately come to fruition. Welcome to the power of Maximum Medicine Radio. Join me, Doc Martin, in conversations that will blow your mind about healing. In our hit show, Doc Martin addresses the scientific with bridging to the mystical approaches to give you a new narrative about maximum medicine. In this live call-in show, we will journey into the extraordinary genius of the human body and talk about other beliefs that impact being your multidimensional self. We seek the seen and the unseen and explore the earthbound and the otherworldly, all with the purpose of calling forth the maximum you. To learn more about Doc Martin and Maximum Medicine, visit www.sharonmartinmd.com.
Hi, this is Kimberly Carlson, and I would love for you to tune in to All In Healing Radio, where together we will begin to experience health, happiness, and harmony in all areas and aspects of life. Join us every first Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. on TransformationTalkRadio.com. All In Healing will help you release layers of negative beliefs and energies for radiant health, deep joy, and greater abundance. Visit me at KimberlyCarlson.com.
How many times do you find yourself saying, it was nothing, or just doing my job, when really you knocked it out of the park? How did you get like this? Next time someone tells you great job, you'll know how to accept it and not deflect it by listening to Courage to Be Seen Radio with host Sherry Clark. Sherry Clark is an experienced global engineering leader, coach, and mentor. From her experiences one-on-one coaching to corporate consulting and executive coaching, Sherry has learned many women need at least 3 things to discover and face success. Learn about the ACES program, how to survive male-dominated fields with grace and authenticity, and reach the top without ever once giving up on who you are. Courage to be Seen host Sherry Clark explores the awesome power of your entire self and how far you can go by being more you. Check out her website, couragetobeseen.com. You have the courage to be seen. See you later.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at onetrueself.com, onetrueself.com, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio, where you can experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. I'm talking with Pamala Oslie about creating and living a vision that's positive in this time of change, and you can do it too. So stay tuned and listen in. So Pam, I follow you on Facebook, and I've loved some of your positive thoughts and shares, which I found very uplifting. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only person. You refer to this time as our way to encourage ourselves to be still, practice inner peace, and remember who we truly are. We're wondrous beings that can create better things. So will you explain a little bit of this to our listeners, please?
Right. Well, in my perception, because we all have perception based on our beliefs and our thoughts, that we've given, I don't know about you, Julia, but I have felt for years, I need to get quieter, I need to get quieter. There's something deep inside me that I need to connect with so my life can become more positive, more empowered, more fun, more and easier. There's something in me that's been calling me to get quiet. And we are so used to being busy and chatter, and we've got a gazillion things on TV we can watch. We're out there running around, being busy, being active. And so we haven't been connecting and listening to our inner self. So I don't know about you, but this time has given me the opportunity to get quieter, to get still. I go, okay, I heard it. You don't have to affect the entire world for me to get quiet. I got it. So what I use it for is to get quiet, to really connect with my heart, my soul. My soul is telling me, and this is quantum physics too. This is spirituality. It's not just some woo-woo weirdo California thing, okay, which is where I live, is California. There's something in our souls that are asking us, they're leading us, it's drawing us to wake up and realize who we really are, because we're not just these little biological little ants or little robots running around the planet trying to get as much done before we die. We're these amazing beings. And again, this isn't woo-woo. This is not only quantum physics, but it's also spirituality. So I feel like we're waking up. We're being called to realize that we're more magical. We create with our thoughts. We are creators. We're not victims. And so do you see what's going on out there right now? It's like, all right, are we victims of what's the fear that's going on right now? Or are we contributing to creating something bigger than us, something more, so that we can change our lives to live who we truly are?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, I even thought, I wonder if this is our group prayer. We've all been saying, if only I had enough time, if only I didn't have so much to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
if that's
only
what I've been
I had
praying
more time to meditate. I mean, we've all been thinking it, and now the earth has responded to our thought form.
Yes, I totally agree. I can't tell you how many people go, well, you know what? I wanted my life to slow down. I wanted it to be simpler. I was stressed out. I was too busy. I wasn't enjoying my life. And so I absolutely agree that the mass consciousness aligned with, and the earth going, okay, guys, I'm with you. Let's take a breath.
Yeah, and let's look at what's happened to the earth. I think we've all been wishing for a clean earth. Yep. And it's unbelievable that it's happened in 2 or 3 months.
So do you see what amazing manifestors we are? We're actually creators. We're creators. We're not victims of circumstances. We're creating.
So just to hypothesize, maybe there are enough of us in our group of higher consciousness that wanted these things so that it's actually coming about. The earth can create it for us because we have enough energy going in that direction.
Right. Right. Well, it's funny because I don't know about you, but I mean, I do psychic work. So for a while now, for over a year, Julia, I kept feeling something big was brewing. I could feel it. And usually I can feel earthquakes coming, and I go, okay, guys, something's building, be prepared. And sometimes we reduce it, we mellow it out, we calm it down, hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes, we calm them down. But this one felt different, Julia. It felt like something in the masses was building really big, and I kept going, what is it? It didn't feel like an earthquake because it felt like it was going to affect multiple countries, which I wasn't used to. So a lot of us felt this was coming. I have to say I didn't know it was going to look like this. But and somebody described that, and they said, well, of course, how would you know it was going to look like this? We've never had this before. We've never experienced this before, so of course you couldn't identify it. And it sort of had to pull the rug out from underneath this, because didn't it feel like it happened fast? It was like
happened
bam,
very
bam.
fast. And I could see like this new light pouring out of the earth on the winter solstice. And I was like, this makes no sense because the light is supposed to be underground. Yeah, that's where the power is. And then I thought, well, it's new energy. That's pretty cool. And I looked at the astrology with some of the aspects between Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, and I thought, we're going to have a really big collective experience. I wonder what it is. But no, I didn't come close to realizing what this was.
No, that's weird. I guess there was one or two psychics that said they predicted this, Sylvia Brown, other people, but I didn't see it coming. But I'm an optimist. I'm very positive, optimistic, so I see us getting through this. And I feel like there's going to be three different groups. There's going to be the group that goes in and goes, we see this as an opportunity to change life for the better, to really connect, to lift up to a higher level of thinking, of way of being, of living, a higher level of consciousness. There's going to be a group of people, and none of this is wrong or right. It's just different experiences. There's going to be a different group of people that want to just go back to the way it was. I just want my job back, my life back. I just want everything to go back to quote-unquote normal. So they'll go back, and then it'll be like, yeah, we kind of remember it, but I'm still going to go back to the way it was. And then there's going to be a third group, because I'm already seeing this, of people that are forever changed, but in a fear-based way. They're going to go into life's never the same, but now I'm afraid of life. I've actually heard people saying, I'm never going to shake a stranger's hand anymore. I'm never going to hug somebody anymore. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So they're changing, but they went into the fear level. So my focus is to be one of the first category. To shift have this time of shift, to be a positive awakening to like, okay, good, I wanted to reevaluate my life anyway. I want it to be more easier, more fun, more enjoyable, more love-filled, more aligned, but definitely easier.
And just all the things that we aren't doing. Like now I go to the grocery store every 2 weeks. I mean, just that's a huge change. And I didn't need most of the stuff I went out to get most of the time, I have discovered. So that was a wonderful discovery.
Right. We are learning things about ourselves, including it's going to shift things. I mean, people are starting to go, wow, we can work remotely. We don't have to be in big traffic jams to all be in the same building. We can do our lives simpler and at home. And I feel like there's going to be a lot more telecommuting now. But I've seen that coming for years.
Me too. As well as school. I think I was 15 and was writing about children in the future, studying at home. So I'm like, okay, there it is.
I saw that too. Yeah. Like doing it online. I mean, especially when they started doing all the school shootings, I go, it's going to happen online. And people go, but the kids need to socialize. They seem to be socializing anyway, but, what's the word? Necessity is the mother of invention. The kids, they'll find ways to get together. They'll find ways to connect. And I saw a lot of my friends complaining about technology. And my kids are on their phone all the time. Well, now look at the benefit of technology. We're actually connecting with each other through technology. So, there's goods and bads with all of it.
And I would point out, too, that while the earth has all this wonderful, clean energy, it's probably going to be easier to manifest good things in a shorter period of time. That's just a guess. But I think that's coming.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Julie, and I feel like everything's sped up anyway. I mean, that's why this happened so fast. It's like, wow, and we all had the thought, I want to slow down. Bam, okay, there it is.
Right.
Didn't take
because everything speeded up at the first of the year, and it was just, you couldn't stop. It was like being on a ride or something.
It was. That's exactly how it felt.
So I'm familiar with this, but I don't know that all of our listeners are. You talked about the eye of the storm or the cyclone. Now, I actually experienced this with a tornado. It wiped out everything around me and nothing was touched where I was. I slept through it and had one of the best sleeps of my life. It feels like you're floating, by the way, when you're in the eye of a tornado. But tell our listeners how you experience and find this state of being.
Well, yeah, I use the analogy of going inside and being calm and centered no matter what chaos is raging around you and all the chaos of the world and everybody's freaked out. And if you go into the eye of the storm, and I had somebody comment, it's not that, it's not that calm in the eye of the storm because you know what else is coming. Yeah, but while you're in the eye of the storm, you don't have to engage with the chaos that's on the outside. When you're on the inside, it's calm, it's peaceful, and it's blue sky. Now, if people are in the eye of the storm and they're still afraid that the rest of that storm is going to come get them, then, yeah, you're not going to stay peaceful. But that's where to go. And you know what's interesting is I've noticed that when the eye of the storm, the calmer you get, the more peaceful you get, the more that radiates out. And believe it or not, it affects the rest of the storm and starts calming it down or dissipating it. It dissipates, and eventually it just falls apart and goes away. That's why they always say, wow, the eye just kind of, and then the storm just kind of, it dissipates. But in the meantime, you're staying calm and centered in the eye of the storm, which is where you can connect with information and guidance. And when I get in the center like that, Julia, I can go really deep and go, you know what, it's all going to be okay. It's okay.
It is going to be okay for people who can hold these thought forms, because the storm will pass over you. I have noticed that when I send out peace and harmony, it affects me as well. So instead of worrying, people could say, I just want to send out a wave of peace and harmony. I just want to feel peace and harmony, because that literally changes your whole experience.
Yep, and it does affect your environment. It changes everything. I believe that our mass consciousness has been affecting the environment in lots of ways. I mean, people got really angry and we had a ton of fires. People got really scared and fearful and grief-stricken, and then we had flooding and mudslides, and we had hurricanes, and it's all connected. So, and I use the example, Julie, I'm sure you've been around somebody and they start getting really angry and you can feel it coming off of them. You don't want to be around them, right? Well, just imagine if there's the masses of people are getting angry, how much that radiates out and goes to the earth. Or if people are fearful, how much that energy in mass affects nature. We're all connected. We all feel it. So, of course, it's going to affect the weather and nature.
Oh, yeah, and if you've gardened and you garden a lot, you can actually feel the earth absorb your energy when you're digging or moving around plants, and it affects the outcome of your garden a great deal.
Yeah. So I agree that our energy affects not only our own beingness, which is value in itself, but it affects everything around us, especially when we start realizing that we're creating what's going on around us.
It's very exciting and very powerful, and everyone always becomes aware of some of the negative thoughts that they have, and that's okay. It just means you're awakening. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means now you have something else to work with, which is cool, too.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, there's no time to put ourselves down or judge ourselves. Even if we go into fear, we're just having a different experience, and you can shift it. You can change it. You know what, Julia? I honestly believe we came here for the experience, and that includes emotions. So go for the ride. You got emotions going on. Enjoy it. Get the juice out of it. Go for it, and later it'll change again.
Yes, people don't realize that just because you have an emotion and you feel a certain way, it doesn't mean that you really feel that way. All it means is that you're feeling something that's changing. Emotions are not really real unless they're aligned with the soul. So that just means we're handling a lot of stimuli and impulses, and it can be fascinating.
Right. We're definitely having an adventure. We came here to have adventures. We came here to love and eat ice cream and walk on the beach and go hiking and accomplish things. We came here to experience and to create and to have emotions. So there's no sense dulling ourselves down so we can't feel anything, and there's no sense being afraid of having feelings and emotions. Just embrace them, feel it, and then you move on to the next one. Where we get into trouble is when we get addicted to our emotions. when we get addicted to suffering or depression or struggle or victim, self-pity, when we get addicted to that, because, boy, Julia, we love our stories. We are storytellers. That's why we have so many movies and TV shows and podcasts. We love telling stories. So we have stories going on, and if you get addicted to your story because you think it's the only thing that's available for you and you get really traumatized or into the drama of it, yeah, you're probably going to get addicted to it, but you still have choice not to stay connected or attached or addicted to your story. There's always ways to change the story.
And I always tell myself, if it's a story and it doesn't make you happy, it's probably really boring, so why don't we think about something else?
Yeah.
And that's sort of a fun way to do it.
Yes, and it's funny. We know how if we're watching a movie on TV and we don't like it, we know how to change the channel. If we're listening to music we don't like, we know how to change the channel. We don't know that we have the same ability to do that with our lives.
But we do, and that's what's so wonderful. So we've been talking to Pamala Oslie about auras, parallel realities, and quantum physics, as well as how you can change your experience in the world right now. We'll talk more about this and your role in the new world when we come back. So let's go to break now.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthisfunny.com.
Yeah, yippee skippy to that, baby. We're not done yet. Some of us are out here to educate and inspire. This year, 2020, is the year we gotta show me the money in the cash flow. I'm Dr. Pat. This is the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By.
Visit thedrpatshow.com.
The Truth is Funny. Shift Happens with Colette Marie Steffen is excited to welcome Karen Benton as a monthly guest host. Tune in on the third Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. Pacific Time to regain confidence and trust in your capacity to create change in your life, your health, your family, and your well-being. Karen Benton is a mother, nurse practitioner, certified body talk practitioner, Franklin Method instructor, and owner of Limitless Living LLC. For more information about Karen, visit KarenBenton.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com, ONETrueSelf.com, and you're listening to The Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio, where you can experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. I'm talking with Pamala Oslie about non-ordinary realities, auras, and how to access higher energy so you can change your life at this particular time. So stay tuned in. We have some great information. So I wanted to ask about people who move deeply into the spiritual world and how when they become open to possibility, they start to understand that our idea of reality can interact differently with them. For example, we may lose an object and we think about it or think about holding it and it reappears. We think of a person and they call. We envision a solution or it happens in some kind of weird, impossible way. And that's literally the quantum field, which has different rules and responds in a different way. I know you're an expert about this, so enlighten us a bit.
Expert. I get really nervous when someone calls me an expert.
Right, you know more than most people. Let's go with that.
I know a lot. I have studied quantum physics, and I'm amazed at. They're saying that quantum physics describes the nature of reality way more than Newtonian physics, just so people know. So Newtonian physics, that sounds very heady, but basically just means what Newton taught us about a mechanistic world, right? And so there's laws of nature, and it's mechanistic, and we get old, we age, we die, that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Quantum physics, the field, it's saying completely different things about us, that our thoughts matter, that there's a field, that we're made of energy, that this energy is basically affected, influenced, and actually we create by interacting with this field of energy. And that's quantum physics. And once you start discovering what they're actually saying about quantum physics and the role that consciousness plays, most scientists do not understand consciousness. And in Newtonian physics, they just ignore it because they don't understand it or think it's an attribute of the electrical circuits of the brain, but they still can't explain how that works. Quantum physics is saying that consciousness is at the core of how we experience reality, the consciousness and energy. And once you get to that, once you really understand what they're saying, Julia, it's so profound, it's so cool, which is why I can do things like see energy fields. I can do things like bend spoons, remote viewing, psychic ability, which means I can step outside of time energetically in my consciousness. It's non-local mind. And see beyond, see outside of past, present, and future, basically see them all at the same time. I can manifest things with thought. I mean, I can one story after another. I've learned how to use parallel universes, all because I understand what quantum physics is at least alluding to, hinting to. Now, do I understand quantum physics entirely? No, that's what science is saying. It's like, if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand. It's bigger than we can imagine. But a lot of things way back when were considered science fiction. Like, the world is round. Nah, no way, right? They didn't understand that. How can people stay on the other side of the world without falling off? They didn't understand flight. They didn't think that was possible until we understood aerodynamics. So even with the stuff that they're learning in quantum physics, and by the way, all our technology right now, cell phones, satellites, television, websites, the internet, that's all based on quantum physics. And we don't understand how that works. It's like I can talk in my cell phone to my sister in Europe. How does my voice go into that little phone and then signals, waves of energy and bits of information travel across the air? How does it know to go into her phone, number one? And number two, how does it sound like my voice when it shows up in her phone? So we don't really understand how that works, but we take it for granted that it does. So I figured if once we learn how all these principles, every time we've learned something new, it's given us more freedom, round world instead of flat, flight instead of, stagecoaches and boats, space travel. It's giving us more freedom. Technology, it's giving us more freedom. I can talk to my sister and see her face now on Skype or Zoom, right? I wasn't able to do that 30, 40 years ago. So it gives us more freedom. So I go, okay, if they're saying that all this is true, it's energy and consciousness in quantum physics, I want to know how to use that to have more freedom. And how I use it a lot is manifesting what I want by knowing it's all energy, and my consciousness actually creates it without getting all technical about how that works. It's still physics. And the spiritual teachers and mystics have been telling us that for centuries. Now we've got the technology and the science to align with that to kind of prove what mystics have been saying forever.
And I was going to really simplify that and say for people who are awakening or have higher levels of consciousness, it is just this marvelous breakthrough when you start thinking about things and they start happening. And I remember the first week that happened for me, I thought, oh my gosh, all these writings about the spiritual world are true. It's just where you put your mind and your energy. And that was such a breakthrough for me because it made me believe that everything worked in a different way. And that is just such an exciting thing.
And we can experience as synchronicity, or people will just call it a coincidence. And I go, you know what, I've been able to do it way too many times to think it's just chance or coincidence. It's like, no, this is, a long time ago they would have called technology or flight as magic, magic or miracles. And now we understand it's a part of how the reality works. So now there's a whole new level of the nature of reality that's showing up for us that people could go, most people are like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then they just go back to the old way. Just like there are people that still believe the world's flat. There are people that will not get on an airplane, right?
I know.
So that's okay. It's their experience. But for the rest of us, we're like, hey, give me more freedom, and what kind of experiences can I have now because I understand, that these things are available now.
Right. So I'm going to skip here because I think people need to realize this. Part of getting the quantum field to work for you on a higher level takes a positive state of mind, and that relates to parallel realities. Now, for people who've done this kind of work, you know there's sort of a place where you leap your consciousness or move your consciousness to create these things. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, and I'm going to use lay terms because it helps people understand what we're talking about. Science, quantum physics, a lot of them, David Deutsch, Stephen Hawking, they talked about the many worlds theory, parallel universes. They have evidence that this is real. And I went, okay, then I want to experiment with it. So this is the way it is. And by the way, we go in and out of other realities or parallel universes all the time, but they don't have walls. They don't have doors on them. They're seamless, so we don't know we're doing that. So it's like we shift every time we make a choice and a decision. It's like you change the channel, okay? So the way I use this analogy is right now in the room you're in right now, there's at least 10 radio shows broadcasting around you. So there are radio waves around you all over the place, but you're not aware of them because you're not tuned into them. So if you were to go over to your radio and set it to 99.9, you're going to hear the talk, the information, the music that's coming out of that frequency, out of that show, and that becomes your reality because you're tuned into that frequency. Now, if you change it over to 107, now you're going to hear the music, the talk, the programming that's coming out of that, and that becomes your reality. Now, 99.9, that information, the waves of information are still around you, but it's not part of your actual experiential reality because you're not tuned into it. And so that's the same way with parallel universes. And remember, a lot of things that used to be called science fiction are now science fact. So the way I know how to use these is every time you have a thought, a belief, you make a choice, you have an emotion, it shifts you into that frequency. You have the experience that you just envisioned. You have the experience that matches with your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotions. So haven't you had those days where it's like, oh, God, it feels like everything's going wrong? Well, you're in a frequency where you're in that layer where everything's going wrong. If you start, and I'm not just talking positive thinking, although that's a huge part of it. It's greater than that. It's knowing, it's believing, it's having the thought, the emotion that is triggered with that thought and that belief and that emotion. And you can't trick it. You can't go, well, I'm imagining that I have $1 million in cash sitting on my living room floor. Now, by the way, there is a level of that. Great masters have taught us, that that's possible. You can open up your hand and it's there, right?
Right.
But for most of us, we go, yeah, I'm seeing that, but I don't really believe it. We don't align with it. Or like, well, I've asked to win the lottery. Yeah, but on some level, you don't believe it's possible, or you feel like it's not really going to happen for you. So it has to do with thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, and our imagination. Einstein even said imagination is more important than knowledge because what we think we know can limit us. Imagination opens up all kinds of things. So I've used parallel universes in very profound ways, very remarkable ways, to change my circumstances. I believe that people that have spontaneous healings, that they had cancer and then they didn't, have gone into a different universe, have gone into a parallel universe. Every time you make a choice, let's say that the you today decided to put on jeans and there's another you that thought about putting on white pants, but you decided not to. There's a you that's going on having a life where you're wearing jeans and another you that went through the day with white pants on. Now, those are very subtle. They're, it's hard to tell those two universes apart. But there's also a you that married somebody you fell in love with in high school. There's another you that never got married at all. There's another you that's got 5 children, another you that has no children at all. Based on choices that you made, believe it or not, all of those beings exist. We've been told that we're infinite beings, and this is evidence right there. Of course, we infinite beings. We have to have infinite choices. It applies to other lifetimes. That's why I call them other lives as opposed to past lives, because that's all happening at the same time. People who have crossed over, they're no longer in the physical body. They still exist. They're just in another frequency. They're in a parallel universe. So It's other times, other eras, and there's other yous living on this planet in other frequencies that you're not connected with, but they still exist. We just don't know that because we don't tune into it. However, you've probably had feelings of deja vu, right? Or a sense of something coming, and I go, guess what? You're tuning into something that already exists. When I do psychic work, if I can see somebody's future, and I always emphasize free will, I say, look, if you stay with your current thoughts, your current beliefs, your current actions right now, this is what your future looks like in 5 years, 20 years, whatever it is we're looking at. So if you don't want that future, you need to change your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, because this is where you're headed. And the only way I could see where they were headed is if I could already see their future. And I've been doing this work for over 35 years now. And the number of people that come back to me and go, you told me I was going to marry this guy from France named Eric, and guess what? That's my husband's name. He's from France. Everything that you said was going to happen happened, right?
So I wanted to go back for just a second so people can follow this a little more. The thought that came to me is like hearing from someone that I went to high school with. And then for a while, I remember everything about when we were friends in high school and riding our bikes and going here and going there. So we were literally going into a doorway from the past. When we think about someone that's on the other side and we suddenly feel very loved, we've moved into another universe.
Yep, you're connecting with that universe. You're connecting with the experience of that parallel universe. Now, some people will call that a memory. I'm just having a memory, or whatever. Matter of fact, when I was in England hanging out with somebody very famous, I also got to hang out with David Deutsch, who is a world-renowned quantum physicist whose specialty is parallel universes. His belief is that he's really big on parallel universes, and this is a physicist. But he believes that that the you right here cannot communicate with those other you, okay? And I go, wait a second. If you're having a memory, how do you know that you're not connecting with one of the past yous? And how do you know if you're having a premonition or a thought of where you're going to go or where you're going to be in a year that you're not connecting with the future you? And his answer blew me away. He goes, I choose not to believe that because if I do believe that, I have to change a whole lot of other things I believe in. It's like, wow.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, and that's why people don't want to change it. And the funny thing is the conversation was he had just complained about other scientists not accepting what the proof was of parallel universes because they didn't want to have to change everything else they believed in. And I went, didn't you just do the same thing? So the cool thing about this is one of the reasons I like using parallel universes is if you think you're trapped in universe number one and you have an issue and you got to struggle and, oh, my gosh, how do I overcome this? I got to work really hard. I got to work on my childhood issues, or I've got to change this person that I'm married to. Oh, my gosh, I got to struggle with it. What I've learned how to do is you just walk out of that one. You shift your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, and focus and use your imagination to focus on a different reality. And you're in that other reality. And believe it or not, in the new reality, we'll call it reality number 5, that person is different. You didn't have to change them. You didn't have to do anything. You aligned with the universe where they were already different, where the circumstances were different. You didn't have to work to overcome anything or change it. It just, you aligned. All you had to shift was inside you, and it changes your reality. I know it sounds bizarre, you guys, but I've done it for years now, and it's dramatically worked. I mean, big issues, not just, little things. No, big. And by the way, when you go into a different universe, the same people will be there more likely than not, but they'll be different. And I've had experiences, they'll be a little different. If you're happier, they're happier too. It's really weird, but it works.
Okay, so I want to add something because I can feel some confusion, from the energy around us with this. Okay, if you go and talk to someone who is intuitive and can see what possibilities in the future align with you, and you align yourself with that, or you go through a different door, that's where the change is. For people who've done a lot of inner work, you can actually see what aligns with that person, and I think that's where we have some confusion. Some people may need direction for this. Do you think that's true?
Oh, yeah, I do that all the time. When people come to me, and I work with them on the phones and Skype, Zoom, all of that. When I do readings with them, that's what I mean. I'll go, you know what, this is what I'm hearing from your soul. This is what's going to make you happy. This is what you came here to do. this is the path that's actually going to be fulfilling for you. And right now, because I can hear that from your soul, this was your higher plan, you're not on that plan. You're on a path that's over to the side. So if you want to get back on your original plan that's going to make you happier, more fulfilled, easier, these are the things that you need to shift your thinking about. You need to shift your beliefs over to here. It may be forgiving somebody, or it may be forgiving yourself, or it may be taking a different action, whatever it is. But I show people, and they still have free will. They have free will. Mm-hmm. I had a girl come to me once, and I went, and this happened, I mean, believe me, 35 years, I see 6 to 8 people a day. I had a girl come, and I went, you know what, on the path you're on right now, you've got so much anger towards your father. Hold on. I'm choking right now. Give me a second.
Sure. Well, you get a breath and some water. I'll say this. When I worked with the wolves, they thought that things were real if they aligned with the soul, and I could see light if they were aligned. And so a lot of times if you're working on a manifestation or you have an image that comes up that feels great for your future, you're tapping into your soul. And Pamela is telling us how this is actually a parallel universe, which if you think about it is just the coolest thing, right?
Yeah, it's your soul, and your soul's guiding you which way to go all the time of what it wants to accomplish and experience here. Your soul's talking to you all the time. The little trained, the ego, and it's not that the ego is bad, it just has limited perception because it's been trained to think a certain way. Well, you're bad if you do this, you're good if you do this, you can't do that, that's not possible. So the ego is not bad, it just has limited perception. So your soul's talking to you all the time, which is another reason to get quiet and go inside and listen to it so you're not doing mental chatter out of survival or fear. Anyway, I had a girl come to me once, and I went, you have so much anger towards your father that if you stay on this path, which was not your intended path, you're headed for breast cancer. I can see the energy of it in your future. And she went away. She came back 4 years later, and she goes, I didn't do what you said. I could not let go of the anger I had to my father. I have breast cancer now. Now we need to deal with it. She could have shifted that. She could have changed it, but she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to let go of the anger that she had. So she has free will, but that's what I mean. The soul's talking to you. Sometimes the ego gets a grip and gets us basically off path. Now, sometimes the soul and the ego will be in alignment, and then you notice your life is happy, everything's working out. Your soul didn't come here to suffer. If it came here, it may have come here, it wanted some challenges to see what it could accomplish, to see how amazing it was, to prove to itself that it could overcome something, but not to stay stuck in it, not to suffer.
No, that's not what we're here to do at all. And I think that comes back to this really important time that we're in, is it's not to suffer, it's not to feel like a victim, it's not to feel limited. It's to really listen to your soul and find out about these cool things like non-ordinary reality, the possibility of changing your life really quickly and moving into that quantum field. So on that topic, I wanted to ask you, I know some people are probably thinking, so how do I get into the quantum field? Can you give us some of your excellent advice on that?
Right. Well, okay, so let me just say it this way. First of all, you're already in the quantum field. It's all around you. You're made up of it. You're already in the quantum field. So what you want to do is shift your awareness to realize that you are in it, that it's already there, that basically when you focus, use your imagination, use your desire, but you have to align your beliefs. Because I hear people going, well, I wanted this forever, but, I wanted love, I wanted to get married, and I've never been married. It's like, well, you've got some sort of fear or counterproductive belief that's under like a riptide. It looks like you're paddling to the shore, but there's a riptide pulling you out. So getting still, realizing, shifting your awareness to realizing that you are surrounded with light and love and energy, because the field it's neutral, but it manifests more on the positive level. So it doesn't judge what you want to manifest or what you're focused on. It's there. When you focus on something, it brings it into light. It brings it into matter. It brings it into either experiences or physical objects. And this is physics again, you guys. The double slit experience, experiment, you can read all kinds of stuff about it. If we had more time, I'd get into it. But to realize that you're in it, get quiet enough to shift your attention to feel it, to sense it, to realize it, and then it's like you plant your heart and desires into the field. You plant it there. You allow it to grow. You trust it. You know it. I've heard that masters only declare something once, and they know it's done. They plant it in the field once, and they know so it is. Amen. So be it. We've got our little egos in the way going, okay, I planted that seed, but I need to dig it up to see if it's doing anything. Okay, I planted the seed, but I need to pull it out to see if it's making any progress. I don't see it yet. It's like, wow. It's like, and the more you align with it, with knowing, with your emotional energy, with aligning with it, believe it or not, the sooner it manifests. There's not some force out there going, well, I know you want this, but I know better than you, so you're not going to have it because it's not good for you. It's not apparent. It's like it's an energy field that we've been given the gift to create our own reality, given the gift. So it's shifting your awareness, shifting your beliefs that it's there, that it's possible, being still enough to actually come from your heart and soul to plant it in the energy field, and then allow it to show up. Align with that. Know that it's done. Know that it's there. And then enjoy your life, because it will manifest. I think some of them are teaching it as the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. You know, the law of attraction, the frequency, whatever frequency you're putting out, that frequency. It's karma. Whatever you put out comes back to you. Whatever your energy is, that's what you're going to attract to you. Whatever station, frequency you're on, that's what you're going to experience. It's all frequency, energy, and vibration, thought, beliefs, emotions.
That's a much better way of saying it. However, we're running out of time, and I want to be sure that they get your website, know how to contact you, and tell them about the services you offer and how you can help our listeners.
Okay, so my website is auracolors.com, A-U-R-A, Aura, Colors, American version, COLORS.com. Everything's on there. Meditations and courses, and there's even a free quiz there to take, discover what your aura colors are. There's free videos. I have e-courses teaching all of this. You can get in touch with me for a private session. Everything's on there. So all the services I offer, let's see, I don't wash your windows and I don't scrub your floors, but I do a lot of other services. So that's the best way to reach me.
So everyone go and check out our website and learn more about these fascinating topics. And I want to thank you for tuning into the Power of Inspiration and Awakening show. Please join me on the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month at 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central, and 9 a.m. Pacific. And you can find me at onetrueself.com. Have a beautiful week, and I'll see you back here next time.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin, to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you, to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.